All right. So I guess we'll let everybody know we're
Yeah.
trying out a new format, which is we start recording a few minutes before the guests get on, so you can
Yep.
hear monotonous banter
Got my
and
morning mug.
your morning bug, and then you kind of get to see the prep that we do
Oh,
with
yes.
folks that hop onto this
I would
call.
say like the non-prep, it's kind of just like because these people come on and, I meet them in different settings and Caroline meets hers in different settings that
Mhm.
we kind of talk about like how we met in the story. And Leonard, our guest today, our guest today, and I met on LinkedIn and then in Vegas. Just ran into him in the middle of a conference.
So I was just looking him up on LinkedIn, and I like have a human crush. He seems amazing.
He's
Um,
amazing.
I
And he
like his
has,
company looks great. His background looks amazing, and
yeah,
now he's at Splunk, which I have a
yeah.
soft spot for.
Yes, and us too, one of our biggest partners. And so, yeah, and it's coming at a really great time when we're having him on because he's in a huge transition. So I'm really excited to hear about how and why and more about his role. And then yeah, he's just an awesome guy. So
So we actually haven't talked about this. What do we want to do on this format? I guess he'll jump on, and then
yeah,
we'll pull a random question, and then kind of talk a little bit more than we normally do.
yeah, I would say that. I mean, our questions I feel like have always just been a starting point and then we stop recording, but it's
Mhm.
like there's so much more conversation that happens
Yeah.
after. And it's funny because whenever we hit stop recording, us and the guests that the
Mhm,
listeners and
mhm.
viewers can't see this, but we literally get so excited. We're like, oh my God, we did it. That was such a good one. So now hopefully we can share that with everyone.
But more importantly, how's the new house?
It is good. I'm in my new office, so you can kind of see if I go this way.
I love
I
that.
have a little setup here. Over
I kind
here
of feel like I need
is
to redo this nonsense back here.
Hey, I've been telling you to put plants up there for so long.
I know, but I'm just not a plant person.
This
I
is
can't
fake. This
do
is
it.
fake.
That's cute. That's cute.
So,
I do feel like I'd be like in a little bit of a jungle if I had all that nonsense up
yeah,
there.
and I mean it also, well, depending on if you get fake or real, it brings good air into your room. So,
Yeah.
I have a real one over there. And it's funny because when I moved, I was like, my plants are hating Florida. Like they are all dying. They don't want the sun. They don't want this and that. And so I actually downloaded one of those apps, which I forgot to, after I used it for an hour, I forgot to delete it. And I got charged like $6 one week and then $6 the next week. But you take a picture of your plant and it tells you
Stop.
what
What it is?
basically
What's wrong with it?
yeah, what's wrong with it, what to do with it. So my one
Oh,
needed like espresso in it, and so I poured espresso in it, and I mean maybe it's working or maybe it's just I don't know, getting used to everything, but yeah.
speaking of apps, I just got this new app. Oh my God, hold on. First of all, look how cute this is. Hold on. I can change pictures on my phone all the time now.
Oh
So it
yeah.
changes the hour. And so I'm seeing all these old pictures of Emma. I'm like dying.
Hmm.
Um, so I got this app called Monarch. Have
Okay.
you heard of it?
No.
It connects to all of my bajillion apps with banks and all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And I found all these subscriptions that I've been using that like I actually don't use. So I
Oh.
need to go off and like cancel everything. But I don't know. I've like
Do you have
reorganized.
to pay to get the app and then you find out? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a trial?
No,
Like,
no. So there is a trial, but it's not really for the subscriptions. It's for just managing your spending
oh,
overall. Yeah. So
you
like
don't like,
it
oh
track
wow.
it puts all my credit cards together, my checking, um, investments, all the things into one space. And
I
I love
love a
it.
one-stop shop. I
The
can
one Look, I got a new photo. Look at that.
Wait,
The
it
new
rotates? You
It
don't have to
rotates on its own. It's like I can't stop looking at my phone. Look how cute that thing. I don't even know what's in her mouth. It has to be ice
All
cream, I
right,
hope.
walk us through how you do that.
You want to know?
Yeah,
Okay.
you tech
I had a
geek.
friend, I had a friend share with me. So you go into settings. I've actually done this to three people on their phone. So go to settings,
Hmm.
then go to where'd it go? Wallpaper.
Okay.
Hi, Leonard, we see you.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. How are
Good
y'all?
morning.
Hold on, I'm walking Kelly through something super important right now. Hold on. Wallpaper, then you go to add new wallpaper,
Oh, okay.
and on the top you see it says shuffle photos.
Wow.
Photo shuffle. You click photo shuffle, and then you can choose what you want. So I chose pictures I have on my phone that are nature and my
Mm.
child. So, it's rotating all the time.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start it. Oh my gosh, there's my sister. Okay,
Um,
we'll have to
you
select
can
which
you
one
can
here.
choose the people. You can choose.
Okay.
Hi, Leonard.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Good. Do you go by Leonard or Leo?
Hey, well, Leonard.
Leonard. Okay.
Mm.
Just checking. We're putting you on the spot right now because we're trying a new format for this. I don't know if you
Okay.
can tell, we're already recording. Normally we
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
be recording right now. And we're trying to see what it looks like to have our nonsense bantering for a couple of minutes before like we get started with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How are you? Congrats on your new role.
Thank you.
I was
I'm
just
doing
curious.
well. It's Friday.
Yes.
It's
I don't
Friday.
know. It's Friday. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm an ex-Splunker myself.
Yes.
I love that place. It's a great place to work at.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. It took me a little while to get over here, but super glad that I made the move.
Yes. As they say, I guess you made your way over to the manufacturer side. Some folks call it the dark side. I call it the better side.
Yeah, some of my friends call it, now I get to see how the sausage is made.
There you
Okay.
go.
That's another way. That's a new.
Yeah.
Um, Very cool. Kelly, you kind of all brought us here together. So,
Yeah, so Leonard and I
how?
got connected, and then I was saying prior to when you got on, I was like, and then we met at 10 p.m. in Vegas because he messaged me, was like, "Are you here? Is your team here?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm here." And then we ended up hanging out all night, and then he, interact with our team. So it was really great. And then I was like, "Wow." And I think you're just honestly made for this next role. Like, I think that I'm so excited to learn more about like why you're transitioning, what you're most excited for. And observability is just so interesting and it's a huge focus for Splunk, as I know. So curious to hear more about like the why.
Hold
But
on. Can we backtrack 1 second?
yeah.
You guys met on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Do you
I have made a
speak with
post.
it
I made
often,
a
Leonard?
post
Do you meet
once.
people on LinkedIn and then meet people in person all the time? I do.
This This
So it's
is one of
funny.
my like crazy Friday morning, like Kelly's really energetic, like posting and commenting on things. I want you to tell it from your perspective.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like most people, you get a lot of messages and phone calls, etc., from sellers and suppliers. And Kelly interacted with a post, maybe I can't remember. It was a post that I made or something, and we had a little banter. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'll have a conversation because it was authentic, it was genuine, it wasn't just a
It was
cold call.
about how I'll stop you because I remember it. Like when you make meaningful connections, I'm like, that one is one I definitely will remember. And so basically, he had a post about how like one bad apple in an organization can affect a lot of people. And I commented and I was like, but one positive pineapple can make a difference or something so
Oh,
stupid.
no,
And I
Kelly.
was like, there's
Kelly.
no way he's gonna like respond. And then he did, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, this is my chance. Like, let me say hi.
Yeah.
So, Leonard, curiosity, what prompted you to write that post?
I've got to, you know what? I want to look at this post because now I've got to go back and look at it.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember the post, but I mean, it's been months ago, and it's funny because I log in and Kelly's the first thing that pops up in the chat. What is this? At the Venetian.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
My latest post.
What? Oh my goodness. Let's see here.
I'm curious. I want to know the backstory on that one. Because
Yeah.
that's a good one, and it's so true. You have people in organizations who are just like are toxic, and they can just kind of like, what is it? I had an orange next to some garlic,
Oh
and
yeah.
the part that was touching the garlic has turned totally black. I was fascinated by that yesterday.
What a
I
good,
didn't get
yeah,
around it.
that's
I wasn't able to.
such a good,
Personal bad
connection right
judgment.
there.
Did you find it, Leonard?
I'm looking for it now and I'm trying to figure out.
Post all the time.
Yeah, dude, that's the problem is I post a lot, so now I'm trying to find
We
it.
just connected, so I'm excited to see some of that stuff.
Oh, it was, I know what it was. It was on National Employee Appreciation Day. And there was a Adam Grant had posted a picture and it says, um, here, I'll send it to you, but it says, get the right people on the bus, keep the wrong people off the bus. And talking about how extremely important when you're recruiting and you're going after talent that it's more about who you hire and not what skills they bring, right? Because a lot of technical skills, a lot of skills can be coached, but motivation and hunger and the right attitude, either people have it or they don't, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
How do you determine that? I agree with you wholeheartedly, but how do you determine that in a 30-minute interview with three or four different people?
you don't.
It's so hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
It is. It
I feel like
is.
people can trick me early on, right? Like they
Yeah.
see you one way and then you get them afterwards and you're like, hold on a second, that's not who I talked
That's
to.
why
Yeah.
referrals are huge because it's like people are going to
Yes.
refer people that they know are good people, like
Yeah.
just at their core.
I think Clayton did an amazing job at this when I was at Clayton. And their whole idea is with Patrick Lencioni, he has a book called The Ideal Team Player. And the three traits that Patrick talks about is people smart, um, that they're hungry, they want to learn, they want to grow. And then the last piece is humble. But like the humility is more than just being vulnerable and stuff. It's also stepping up to the plate when you have the skill, when you have it, right? But we did a lot of questioning around that and saying, hey, tell me about a time that you had to work with a difficult team member. What did that look like? How did you handle that? And usually we didn't even talk about technical skills until the very last thing. It was more about, we called them behavioral interviews, and it was more about the fit to the role than a culture fit. Because I think culture fit is something we need to get away from because everyone's culture is different, right? So focusing on how an individual fits to a role, I think is really important. And we spent a lot of time focused on behavioral interviews and getting to know the person on an individual basis and less about what Splunk experience they have or what observability experience they have. Focus on them as a human. Because one of the things that we were big on, and I find Splunk is the same way, is you don't hire just the nine to five version of Kelly. You get the 24/7 Kelly, right? So focusing on the whole person can help with that. Because at the end of the day, who do you want to sit and work with for 8 hours, right?
Yeah. I forgot what organization it was, but I saw this recently where they sent out a notice and said, hey, to managers, like, look at your team. If you had to hire them today, would you? And if not, you got to let them go.
Yeah, and my previous CIO, Steph Flood, she always said this: if you had to start a company today, would you start a company with those individuals?
Ooh,
No.
That's a
No.
good one.
that
That's a
makes you
good one.
think,
There's more at
wow.
stake when you think about it. Because I love that because it's not only about who they are now, but when you put your mindset as someone who's starting a company, it's about having extreme ownership of that, of something, right? And so it also forces you kind of to look at it from a very different perspective with different things at stake. Ooh, I like that one.
I know
You
that's
read that book, Extreme Ownership?
Um,
no,
no, no.
I'm
Yeah.
writing
Have
it
you?
down.
I guess you have.
My chicken
Yeah.
scratch is these two books.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's actually a follow-up called the dichotomy of extreme ownership too,
Are they
but
behind you on the bookshelf?
they are somewhere back there.
You don't have to mess
Yeah.
with them. It looks great. Looks like a virtual background.
Wait, what
Yeah.
was the other one? So you have
Extreme
extreme,
ownership
and the other one is?
and the dichotomy of extreme ownership.
Which one do you like better?
I like that you got to read them in order, right? So the extreme ownership to understand it, but then it's kind of like you want to make sure that you don't go super super extreme, right? So the dichotomy is if you go too far one way, you may alienate someone, right? So
Mm.
you've got to be able to balance that.
Yeah.
But the extreme ownership is kind of like if you find yourself you're frustrated with a coworker or your manager, you take a look at yourself and you say, hey, what did I do wrong? Did I give them enough information? Did I communicate early? Did I communicate often enough? Like, what could I have done differently to change that outcome? Not what did they do, but what did I do or what did I fail to do? Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
So, Leonard,
To add that to my book.
we're gonna do our 5-minute episode now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way this is gonna work is we have not done no prep. We're not gonna re-record this, and we're not going to edit this.
Uh-oh.
Uh, I know, I know. So what you've said is written in the stars now. And we're gonna pull a question. Kelly, do you want to do it? Do you have them? I have them here if you want.
I have them in a baggie because I haven't been able to find my fishbowl in this whole move. But do you want to pull it out?
So I'll pull out a question at random, and you just have to answer authentically. We authentically, truthfully, they're not that hard. I don't know. So far, they haven't been. It's always miraculously been the right question for the right person. Normally, this would be the moment we'd actually start hitting record, but we've already been recording. Kelly, do you want to introduce our show?
Yes. So, Humans of Tech, short form series. Caroline just went over the rules, but today's guest, Leonard Wall, is an amazing guy. I'm so excited to have him on. He's new to his role at Splunk as an observability advisor. So he has years, decades of experience, but just came over to the vendor side at Splunk. So, Leonard, do you want to introduce yourself and just give just a quick synopsis of what you're going to be doing as an observability advisor, or what you're most excited about? Actually, let's do that.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. So Leonard Wall just joined Splunk. This is actually week one, wrapping up week one now. I think I'm most excited about the better together with Cisco and the changes that are being made and the innovation and all the changes that are happening. It's an amazing time to join such a large organization that's going to be driving impacts across the organization. And specifically on the observability side, the thing that I'm most excited about is the open telemetry project, right? So creating a new standard for getting data in. When you look at security and observability, you look across the landscape, rarely do you have a standardization of how we're getting data across product to product, vendor to vendor. So being a part of that at this point in time is extremely exciting.
Are you going to be more customer facing? So going out into the field, chatting with people, or are you going to be more towards the back end trying to figure out how to solve that problem?
So I'll be doing both. Primarily, it is a field role, customer facing, interacting and helping our customers solve complex problems, but then also working with our inside teams and developing strategies and approaches to start to blend the security and observability space, right? So there's a lot of overlap in that space, especially when you look at uptime and how we keep systems up and running and the impact to our customers.
Yeah. So I pulled the question and I read it. I had half of mine of me to put it back in because I'm 99% sure this was our third question. Kelly is gonna beat me up later because I tend to put them back in the fishbowl and she doesn't want me to, and I keep.
I don't know. It's different for everyone. Everyone answers it differently.
But you know what? I'm going to keep this question because you just mentioned like, oh, you don't hire Kelly for 9 to 5, Kelly. You hire Kelly for who she is around the clock. So the question is, how do you strike work-life balance in this fast-paced technology industry?
So it's interesting, Caroline, because I would say it's not truly a balance. It's a back and forth because there are going to be days where you have to work long hours, where you're having to take a call at 8:30 at night when you should be spending time with your family or watching a movie on the couch, right? So there's going to be moments of where you're going to have to work a little more, but then there's also going to be moments where you're not even be focused on work. So I think it's less of a balance because not every day will you have exactly 8 hours of work, 8 hours of personal time, and 8 hours of rest. Like realistically, most of us don't do that. But I think
That's
it's
not in this industry anymore, right? Different
no.
ones, maybe. There are people who clock in, clock out, but this one's a little bit different.
Exactly. And what I find is a lot of people in tech today are extremely passionate about their jobs and what they love to do. So it's really hard for them to unplug. So being extremely intentional of saying, hey, I'm going to turn on my phone, do not disturb, and I'm going to walk away. And I'm going to go spend time with my family. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to walk the dog, what have you. But I think that it's more of it's less of a balance and more of just being aware and being intentional with your time.
I've started to implement, I am known to be terrible with certain like text messages, things like that. I'm a disaster, right? But I can still grab my phone too often. And I've started to set specific times, like when my daughter gets home, for example, I'll leave the phone in a completely different floor, even if it's just an hour or two, where it's just there's nothing else. It's just us.
Yes.
Or go out on a walk and leave the phone behind. To have that, like, I think the word that you said there is just being intentional with it, right? Because you can unplug, but if you're still messing around with all the things, did you really unplug? Not
I
really.
have to take off my watch because I will leave my
Buzzing on
phone,
you.
but my watch will start like on a run. My watch will start going off. I'm like, no, I need to unplug. That's why like my spin class is because you can't be on your phone, or you're the one that's like, how is she on a bike and also on her phone? Like, no, you can't. So it's completely check out, but I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Do you have any intentional tips, Leonard?
James Clear, if you've ever read his book, Atomic Habits, he talks about this, right? Turning off your notifications on your phone, turn them all off so that when you go back to it being intentional, when you pick up your phone, you're going to the app or you're going to the text messages. You're being intentional about what you're doing. So you're being less reactive and being more intentional, especially with the mobile. Because I'm horrible when it comes to mobile devices, right? If it buzzes or lights up or whatever,
That's
turn my
your,
head and look at it. So
I love that. Okay.
Oh,
Well, I think that we're done
yeah, we're
with this
way over,
first
but this is
new
great, and I love this new format. So
episode.
we're gonna continue.
All right, we're gonna stop recording, but you stay on, Leonard, because we do
okay.
want to say
Yes.
goodbye,
Yeah.
not on camera.